Welcome to the Female Finance Collective, where we encourage women to have open and honest conversations about all things money. In today's episode, we are going to talk about planning and mapping out your financial success for 2025 and beyond. And just as a quick reminder, today's conversation, we may mention topics like investing and saving. It is for educational and conversational purposes only, and we're not providing any specific advice. We're here to share our ideas and what works for us. So talking about mapping out your financial success. So you've thought about some goals that you would like to achieve in the current year and beyond.
I shared in the last episode that I'm super good at making long, long lists of goals and then not always achieving them because I set the goal and it's something I really want to do, but then I don't do anything about it. And that's really the key. So I think it's so important to, once you set your goal, to create a plan. Like, how am I actually going to achieve this? Like, saying I want to put $1,000 in my emergency savings fund or saying I want to plan for a vacation is all well and good. But if I don't have a plan for where that money is going to come from or how I'm going to save it or where I'm going to save it, then I'm already setting myself up for failure before I've even gotten started. So I think creating an actionable plan and coming up with a few steps you'll take to help you achieve the goal is the biggest thing. Back when I was 30, I decided I was going to start running. Everybody decides that when they're 30. And my friend and I decided that we were going to run a half marathon 1 year from the day we decided to start running. So we set ourselves up with this running plan that was like how to get started from walking to running. And it had like this set amount of time. It was like 90 days or whatever. And it told us what to do every single day, whether it was resting or walking or walk running or whatever. We had this plan. And then we ran a 5K. So we used a 5K plan, told us what to do every single day for the 10 weeks before the 5K. And then we used like a half marathon training plan and it told us what to do every single day. And that was the reason we were successful because we set up a plan ahead. We knew exactly what we were going to do every single day, how many minutes or how many miles or all of those things were laid out for us in these really clear action steps. And that I think is the biggest thing that we don't do when it comes to other goals, right? If we don't set up those action steps like, I'm going to spend $25 less per week at the grocery store. That's going to be action step number one. That $25 is going to go here. And how I'm going to spend less is I'm going to, create a meal that we can have for leftovers for 2 days or whatever it is, setting up all of those pieces of the plan, I think really sets us up for success rather than just kind of flying by the seat of our pants and hoping that the money comes from somewhere or hoping that we spend less at the grocery store or whatever it might be.
I'd say the place I would start with a lot of that is having a look, and I know it's painful, but having a look at the last couple of months of where money went. And the reason you want to do this is to get a realistic view of what your bills are, what your debts are, what your expenses are. And then you can see if you have extra money available and how much of that can go towards your goal. So I think that's one of the kind of the tools or resources that's the best place to start is just having a look at where money goes and doing it in a way where you're not shaming yourself, you're not feeling bad. It's just facts. You're just looking at the numbers and you're just deciding to make some changes that are going to help you support your goals. You just need to have the information kind of to get you started. So that would be the first spot that I would start. It doesn't take very long. If you set aside a bit of time, you can get the information fairly quickly. There's lots of different resources out there, like spreadsheets or budgeting apps that can help you to do that on an ongoing basis if you find it difficult to kind of stay within certain spending limits. But definitely as you're doing that is keeping it realistic. Like if you're spending $1,000 on groceries now, it's probably not realistic to cut that down to $500. Like that, it's going to be that's going to take a lot of effort. So realizing that any kind of goal that you set, making it realistic is going to be much easier in terms of goal progress. Because the last thing you want to do is restrict yourself too much, and then you last a week, and then that's it. You never think about that financial goal again.
Yeah, I agree with the importance of that, and it's so hard, right? So I am like I have a goal of journaling more about a lot of different aspects of my life this year, and every day I'm journaling and I'm letting myself journal about different things. And I would just say, like, I'm giving myself grace and trying to look at those numbers, like you said, Marilee, and then also just like sitting on it, knowing I don't have to take action immediately, right? Giving myself that space and grace and telling myself, yes, this is hard, but you can do it, right? Telling myself, keep going. You're doing this. This is worth it. You are worth it, right? So I'm doing a ton of self-talk around this. And I think that self-talk, and I know that self-talk is going to help me stay accountable. And then the next step is building those financial habits, right? That support these goals that I've set, that support me in doing the hard work. Like one of the worst things I've learned is I do the hard work and then I give up on myself still. And it's like, that just wasted your hard work. I don't want to do that. I want to do the hard work and then I want to keep going. And I know the brain needs habits, right? And so things like automating your savings, doing monthly check-ins, putting it in your calendar, right? These are the kinds of things I'm trying to do. The habits, journaling about finances, um, starting with an app and tool like you just shared, Marilee. Accountability, saying it out loud, posting it out loud, sharing your ideas with somebody, doing the work together. All those habits help so much. And then all of a sudden, okay, I can do this. It's not that hard. There's something, I don't know if you guys know, but there's something about like 10, doing the same thing 10 times is really crucial to get it to be a habit. But there's, like one or two times is not enough. It's like you have to push yourself and the self-talk of keep going and keep doing it. And it will be a habit and it won't feel so hard next time. Something else will feel hard, but it won't be, this financial goal piece in particular necessarily. And so that's what I'm looking at as my next steps is forming those habits that support the goals and my dreams. They're habits supporting my dreams, right? Our goals are underneath our dreams. And so when I reframe it in that way, I'm more motivated to do it. I want to go on that trip. Therefore, I will set that goal and I will set up habits to meet that goal. So next thing I know, I'm on that trip in April or whatever it may be.
All of that, everything that you guys said is really important. That all of those pieces work together to help us be successful. Whether we're using a tool or a partner to help keep us on track, we're really like, or setting up automation, right? All of those things that we can do, put in place to help support us in the path. I think that is the biggest key. Whether it's a financial goal or something else, putting in those checks and those supports help us be successful. I also really like what you said, Sybil, about reminding yourself why this is a goal, right? Like, so if I'm at the grocery store trying not to put the extra snacks in my cart, I'm like, oh yeah, this is not because I'm trying to punish myself that I can't have snacks. This is
Exactly.
because I'm trying to go on vacation in 3 months, right? So sometimes having a reminder of that goal is really important. There are all kinds of tricks you can do. You can put a post-it note on your mirror that says like, remember, we're going to wherever. You could just write like London or whatever your destination is on the post-it note and stick it there. You can put a picture of your destination or your car or your dream house or whatever it is on the screensaver of your phone. So every time you unlock your phone, there's the reminder of what it is you're working for. I think setting those things up to remind ourselves this is why we're doing this. It's not that I'm having a punishment or a consequence. It's because I have a goal that I'm working for. And so instead of going out to eat 5 nights a week, we're only going to go out 2 nights a week because don't forget, we're going to be so glad we did this when we're all having a big fun party on the beach, in 3 months. So I think those reminders about what we're working towards are key to keeping going so that you don't get caught up in the like small little day-to-day pieces of like, oh, I have to review my budget again. It's like, oh, I get to review my budget because that means I'm going to get to put this down payment on the car I really want or whatever it is.
Jen, that's a really beautiful point is these are things that you're going to be able to enjoy when you're taking these steps with your money. Like you'll get to have experiences, you'll get to achieve things that may not be possible if you don't put in kind of the hard work. And it can feel like hard work. It can get boring, it can get repetitive. And but you're going to be able to achieve these wonderful things in your life through this intentional planning. How do you handle setbacks or adjust your plan if you are working towards a goal and it's just not panning out, or you feel like you're ready to give up?
That's a
Such a
good
good
one.
question. You have to ask yourself, is this a goal I want to keep working towards, or is this something I'm willing to give up on? And as we just talked about, like that dream part being such an important part of it. And it's like, am I going to adjust things? Or am I going to, move forward on it in a different way? Am I going to change the timeline? Right? Jen, you always say, like, have a hard conversation with yourself. I think this is like when there's setbacks, because there's going to be. There is always going to be setbacks, expenses that you hadn't planned for. And even if, like, I was just thinking about our emergency savings episode that posted a couple weeks ago. Even if you have it all set up, if you have to dip into that emergency savings or that stockpile or that, I'm trying to think of merrily what you call it. But if I have to dip into there, then all of a sudden my goals of making more money to travel, I have to make more money to refill that stockpile or that emergency fund, right? And so we are going to have setbacks. We are going to have need to make adjustments to our plan. And as I talked about earlier, for one big important thing is that self-talk of failing forward and looking at a way that you can learn from it and try to keep going and moving forward and reframing it. So for me, it's a lot of that mindset work when I get those setbacks and then rewriting the plan. How am I going to move forward now? Okay, that cost that and I wasn't expecting it. And so what am I going to be able to adjust in my budget, in my plans, so that way I can move forward on it if it's something worth moving forward on and aligned with, what I value at that time.
I also want to give people permission to stop working on a goal that isn't motivating for you. If you set a goal this month that seems super important and something you really want to do, and 3 months from now, you're like, I don't even care about this anymore. It's not that you're giving up because it's hard, but you're just like, gosh, I don't like having that car just isn't important. Or going on that trip was because my friends wanted to go. I don't really want to spend my money on that. I'd rather spend my money on something else. It is okay to walk away from a goal that you decide doesn't align with your values anymore or isn't something that you really want. But that's also where you have to have that hard conversation with yourself. Am I just giving up because this is hard? Or am I stepping away from this goal because it doesn't line up with what's important to me anymore? And that I think is key. I agree with everything you said, Sybil, about like having those conversations, really thinking through, refocusing yourself, like sometimes it's okay to stop working on something for like a week and then come back to it and be like, okay, this part of it wasn't working for me anymore. So now I'm going to try these things and kind of refocus. I think that's really important. The other thing I would say is if you're working on a goal that's something like paying off your debt, and it's harder to like put a picture of that on your home screen or like whatever. I want you to also really focus on the feelings, because the feeling of having your debt paid off is really amazing, right? You think about how proud you're going to be of yourself. Think about all the other things you're going to be able to do with the money that has been going towards this debt payoff, right? So I think there's also ways to kind of shift your thinking depending on what your goal is. And it's okay to like waver and have struggles and challenges and feel overwhelmed and feel like giving up. And that I think is just a sign to like take a step back, whether it's like a day or a week, and then come back from it. The biggest thing is not to, if it's something important to you, not to quit all the way, right? I think that sometimes that feels easier to just be like, oh, never mind, this is hard. But that's not you're just gonna be starting back from the beginning if it's a goal that's really important to you.
Yeah, and the reality of life is we're going to have things that come up during the year where it's going to take you to focus off your goal. You know, if everyone in the family is sick, that's probably not the week that you're going to be able to meet all your spending targets and meal plan and do all of the things. Sometimes you're just in survival mode, and that's okay. That's the reality of life. But it's just getting back to that goal. So I find the most helpful thing is just having that visual or having it on my phone of exactly what I'm working towards so that, if I do need to step back and focus on other aspects of life, it's just easy to come back to the financial stuff when things are back to normal.
Jen mentioned in last week's podcast episode that we are going to give you a call to action at the end of each episode, something that you can work on, some action, small stuff that you can take to move forward before you listen again next Wednesday or whatever day you like to listen in on. So this week's call to action, this is what we want you to try to do between now and listening to our next episode, is we want you to take one step forward with your financial goals. If you haven't set goals yet, then that's your step we want you to take. Do some dreaming, write some goals out. If you've already set some goals, think about one step forward that you can take. Maybe you're going to automate some savings. Maybe you're going to fill out a debt calculator to figure out what monthly payment you want to make. Maybe you're going to invest in a child's college fund. Whatever it is, try to take one step forward with your goal before tuning in and listening next week. So don't forget to like and follow our podcast. We really appreciate you listening. Thank you so much. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube. Actually, we're on LinkedIn as well. And we would love to hear from you. Comment below. Let us know how your goals are going. Let us hold you accountable. Let us be your partner in this. We are with you and excited for you. And we look forward to chatting next week.